Alright, here we go. I got a little something to say about the evolution of morality. I'm going to start off with explaining that reading something out of a newspaper or a political statement, a government pushed idea or scientific quote unquote fact, it's kind of sketchy to base your beliefs off of, because the truth is the truth. It's not a function of human emotions. It does not cater to the complex dynamics of human culture or interaction or relationships. So if the truth makes you feel embarrassed and awkward, that's your problem. There's nothing I can do about that. The truth is by no means politically correct or socially acceptable. The truth is greater than that. So it will not bow down to social needs, personal needs, or insecurities. And feeble-minded reasoning does not and cannot negate with which actually exists. As all truth messengers already know, human beings always stand in the way of one trying to spread the truth, through such tactics as peer pressure and ridicule, which is a product of society. Remember, we're talking about morality through society, being an evolutionary upgrading of morals and values. I don't think so. People being quickly attempted to suck that person back into the mindless reality that is referred to here as the real world, as the reality. This truth is an enemy of humanity. So if you're a slave to the human race, then you will forever keep up with this false idea because society says so. So you got to pick one. Humanity or truth? Society or truth? Humanity's mainstream conception of reality exists merely for the sake of keeping society functioning and orderly. However, human beings incorrectly think that this synthetic conception of reality is reality. Worse yet, fake truth seekers try to get the truth to conform to this synthetic conception of reality. Truth is beyond social acceptance. Truth is maladjusted and cannot fit into the massively dumb patterns of ordinary relationships and activities. Greater truth cannot come to those who never bring up the possibility of it to one another. People do not inquire beyond their knowledge because they do not want to have any disturbing shift in their knowledge pattern. The cognitive system is calm and stable through avoiding any disturbing new truth. Truth is greater than man. You should base your values on truth instead of basing your truth on your values. And as for what you are currently basing your values on, it would simply be your childhood indoctrination, the things that you were taught when you were growing up, and your social conditioning. Also make note that you do not base your values on other people's values because they are not your own values. Most human beings on earth are spiritually immature. They might go to church and they might have a very soulish life, but spiritually, they are weak-minded sheep who can't handle the truth and are embarrassed by reality. So they become anti-truth in order to live comfortably in this illusion. It is truly amazing that people have free will yet are mentally enslaved. They have free will yet restrict their own thoughts. They have free will yet genuinely respect authority figures and genuinely believe official doctrines. They have free will yet genuinely accept social norms and genuinely believe information that was simply meant for public consumption. People are free to believe whatever they want to believe, yet they genuinely influenced by society and genuinely succumb to conformity. The operative word here being genuinely. Spiritually immature beings fear their own freedom. They are incapable of acting as their own agents and thus desire to be controlled by external agents, external ideas, and artificial circumstances. Right now, in your very own mind, you refuse to think certain thoughts, even though you are completely free to do so. You act as if your mind is an actual member of society, so you impose society's rules on your own thoughts, thus allowing society to control your mind. And yes, since the beginning of civilization, at least 99% of humanity has fallen into this catastrophic trap. Now, first of all, if you restrict your own thoughts, then how do you expect to know the truth about reality? repressed minds are devoid of truth, whereas the example of this is bursting with truth. I'm not afraid to say that this is what's going on. This is how people think. This is why they do what they do. This is why, somebody might be against something one day, and then they're slowly indoctrinated with this feeding it over and over and over again. And then they're like, oh, well, I guess it's okay as long as we find a way to compromise. Well, you're just feeding into what you didn't believe was right in the first place. If you want to call that evolution of morality, I think that's a degradation of morality. The fact is that social controls on your mind may surprise you, but they really shouldn't. Mind control is not some weird word obscuring the thing that is talked about by conspiracy theorists. Rather, it is the very basis of our current existence. Our civilization is created in a charade that is ordered to function. Actually, it relies on all human beings to be mind controlled and to be subtle and permanently in a trance state. For us to just sit here and think, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. If I lived back then, I'd be a lot different. I'd change the world. You wouldn't change the world because your mind has a social filter. You're like, oh, they're going to think this about me. They're going to think that about me. Well, I don't know, man. If that's how you base, your morals by what other people's morals are, then that's not free thinking. Nothing has changed. Okay, society has full control over everyone's thoughts now as it did then. There is no difference between what was going on way back in the day to what goes on now. And if you expect, people to stand up and do what's right, then these people that stand up cannot be influenced by the general public, the general idea, what everyone considers to be this, it's accepted by society. If we base our morals and values on man's law, on society's idea, then we're only going to fall closer and closer to rock bottom. And you talk about social evolution. To evolve means to get greater and more powerful and better and stronger. Okay? It's not moral evolution. It's moral de-evolution. We're falling. We're not growing. If we were growing, then the poor would be fed. There would be no more murders. Evolution is growing. There's a big difference between evolution and what you're talking about. Okay, from what I've experienced in my 20 some odd years on this planet, there is a big crashing and falling away from values and morality and what you should and should not do. We're basing our belief system off the laws of man, which constantly change. It is not fair. It is not correct because they have different laws for different people for different times. Okay? The poor are oppressed and the rich stay wealthy. There are laws that keep it that way. Do you call that evolution? Do you call that evolving into something greater? I don't think so. If you do, let me know. What I'm trying to say is you got to understand that what you're being taught it's being taught to you for a reason. And you got to understand that you can't take it like it's the ultimate truth. You can't take what everything you see as being this maximized truth, because it's being seen for a reason. It's being given to you so that you might think it is. The media and the newspapers and all of that has been fed to you. They're not going to show you anything that they don't want you to know. I mean, think about technology. They've had this certain technologies out for decades, and the society doesn't get it until 10, 20 years afterwards. It's not evolution. It's de-evolution. And that's all I got to say about that. P.S. I like the little verbal poem at the end. Nice job.